us some raw numbers of how many UAPs you've analyzed, how many have been resolved, and sort of in what buckets, and then how many are still left to be resolved?
It's opened the floodgates for scientists and sort of, the academy, so to speak, is to take this topic more seriously and not just marginalize it as, that's the tinfoil hat crowd. This is a real scientific question that maybe with all the technology we have today we can answer, whether the government tells us what they know or not.
I had no interest in this early in my career. I was interested in very typical things that historians and scholars of religion are interested in. In the early part of the millennium, I wrote a book on the California counterculture and a movement that focused in Big Sur around a place called the Esalen Institute. And I met a lot of people, and these people told me some really, really strange stories that I knew couldn't have happened, but I knew happened. Because I knew these people, and I knew they weren't lying. I knew they weren't doing this for any kind of ulterior reason. And I realized that we had no way of thinking about those stories.
In the quiet Mississippi town of Pascagoula, two local men confronted authorities with a rather bizarre story. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker told of a strange craft landing near their fishing site and of being taken aboard by three unearthly creatures.
When they carried me inside, they seemed to just lead me by, And this eye, it moved up in front of me about this close. And it started right in my eyes, looking me right in the eye. And it seemed that it hesitated there for a few seconds, and it just started moving over my entire body.
Sheriff Diamond, can you tell me just what happened that night?
Oh, sure, I can. All I can tell you is it was two men came in the sheriff's department about 8:30 and 9 o'clock. They were all excited, upset.
Tell me about the lie detector.
These men, in my opinion, believed that they saw this, and that they were being honest in reporting what they had reported.
Back then, our only way of thinking about these stories was not thinking about them. Oh, that person drank too much alcohol, or that person was on LSD, or that person was hallucinating. I mean, there's just this easy kind of explanations that actually explain nothing. And so I got really interested in why intellectuals don't think about those experiences, which presumably lie at the core of a lot of basic religious beliefs.
I actually liken a lot of this topic to religion because it is very similar to me. I mean, I think there's a lot of commonalities. For many people, the truth is out there, and it's very emotional, and it's part of their belief system. Just like if you're Hindu or Christian or Jewish or Muslim, I mean, you have a belief system. And I think some people have experienced things, and whether you and I think it's real to them in a real way. And so we can't just dismiss it, especially since it's not like just a few people. There's a lot of people, and a lot more coming forward now.
It was right up there, and then it flew right across over and down that way.
I think paranormal phenomena are essentially the building blocks of what we call religion. So things like belief in the inseparable soul, or immortality, or divination, or the ability to know what's going to happen before it happens. I mean, all these are kind of classical religious ideas, but they're also really common paranormal phenomena. And I think these beliefs develop because people that's really the bottom line.
I saw a UFO and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left and then down the river. And it looked like sort of silent, and it looked dark, like black or grey in the middle, and there wasn't a helicopter, and there was no balloon, and it was so near.
Exploring this subject matter as an academic?
I teach at Rice. Rice is a very STEM-oriented institution. Most of my undergraduates are going to be engineers or chemists or maybe doctors. They're very science-oriented. And when I started to teach comparative religion here, I was using kind of classical religious texts. And I realized they were dismissing all of them. And they were dismissing them because they would say to themselves, oh, this person doesn't know science.
Well, let's say this Twinkie represents the normal amount of psychokinetic energy in the New York area. According to this morning's sample, it would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds. That's a big Twinkie.
So I shifted and I started to use the anomalous experiences of scientists and engineers and medical professionals.
Anomalous experiences. In other words, something that science can't explain.
Yeah.
This is essentially what you've turned the flip.
Yeah. A scientist or an engineer is trained